Look at this perfectly ordinary yellow pencil. You can buy a box of them for a few dollars. Yet, despite its simplicity, not a single human being on Earth actually knows how to make one from scratch. To get this pencil into your hand, cedar wood was harvested in Oregon. Graphite was mined in Sri Lanka. The rubber for the eraser was tapped from trees in Indonesia. Finally, copper and zinc form the tiny metal band that holds it together. Thousands of miners, loggers, sailors, and factory workers had to coordinate their labor to build it. Most of these people don't share a language. They don't share a culture. They have never met, yet they collaborated perfectly. There is no world boss managing this process. No central authority forced these strangers to extract materials and ship them across oceans just to assemble a writing tool. Curious tone. If no one is in charge, how do millions of strangers who are only looking out for themselves manage to create something this complex and this cheap? In the 18th century, a Scottish philosopher named Adam Smith realized that functioning economies aren't built on charity. They are powered by self-interest. Smith observed that when you go to a bakery, the baker doesn't give you a warm loaf of bread because he is kind. He provides your dinner because he wants to earn money to feed his own family. But self-interest alone would lead to price gouging. So why doesn't the baker charge $50 for a loaf? Because another baker down the street will gladly sell it for $5 to take his customers. This is the market's regulator, competition. To win your money, businesses are forced to lower prices and improve their quality. They are constantly fighting for your business, and you benefit from the struggle. When you add specialization to this mix, production speed hits a breaking point. Specialization is the idea that dividing labor into tiny, highly specific steps is far more efficient than one person trying to build every component alone. Smith saw this in a pin factory. A single worker trying to do everything might make 20 pins a day, but by splitting the job, one person drawing the wire, another cutting it, a third adding the head, a small team could produce 48,000 pins in that same time frame. Self-interest provides the motive. Competition provides the guardrails, and specialization provides the speed. Smith called this the invisible hand, a system where individuals trying to help themselves accidentally create results that benefit the entire society. This process isn't limited to a single neighborhood or town. The invisible hand operates across international borders. This is free trade. When governments remove taxes on foreign goods, entire countries can specialize in what they do best and trade what they lack. The alternative is protectionism, taxing imported goods to shield local businesses. While this might save a few jobs in the short term, it makes basic goods more expensive for everyone else, eventually making the country poor. The clearest proof of this theory happened in China during the late 20th century. By opening its markets to global competition and investment, the nation changed its entire trajectory. This chart tracks extreme poverty in China. In 1981, over 700 million people lived on less than $1 a day. As markets opened, that number plummeted to under 10 million by the 2020s. This wasn't the result of foreign aid. Wealth was generated because rural farmers gained the freedom to sell at market prices, and new factories competed on a global stage. In 3 decades, rural incomes doubled, and hundreds of millions moved into modern cities. This case represents the fastest and largest poverty reduction recorded in human history. By removing trade barriers, China plugged its workforce into the global invisible hand, achieving results that decades of direct aid programs had failed to produce. The invisible hand is an incredibly powerful tool, but it is not a magical cure-all. If the market conditions aren't right, the system can fail. One major glitch is a monopoly. If a company becomes the only seller of a product, competition vanishes. Without that pressure, they can charge high prices for poor quality because the customer has nowhere else to go. Another failure involves externalities, like pollution. If a factory owner dumps waste into a river to save money, he increases his profit, but the surrounding community pays the price in health and environmental damage. When competition disappears, or when self-interest actively harms people who aren't part of the transaction, the invisible hand stops creating wealth and starts creating damage. Adam Smith was not an anti-government extremist. He argued that the invisible hand required a strictly refereed playing field to function at all. In Smith's view, the government's job is to build infrastructure like roads and schools, break up monopolies to keep the market competitive, and enforce environmental rules so self-interest doesn't turn into theft or pollution. Think back to that 10-cent pencil sitting on the store shelf. Every time you scan a barcode, you are sending a signal across a vast global web. That tiny purchase triggers a reaction that tells miners, loggers, and factory workers thousands of miles away to keep working on your behalf. Free trade and the invisible hand allow billions of people to coordinate their labor without ever meeting. It turns individual self-interest into a massive, unconscious collaboration that generates wealth on a scale no central planner could ever achieve.